and the questions pour out. Did not understand. Did not understand. Did not understand.
Ooh, the Sci-Fi Society crew.
We are the Sci-Fi Society.
DJ Anubis. Here with the Meltdown Radio podcast with my special guest, Sci-Fi Century, our fearless leader and founder of the Sci-Fi Society.
That whole story, like, that's pay-per-view, guys. Like, you don't get a lot of that stuff.
All right, so,
How's it going, everyone? We are now live, and I would like to welcome everyone who is watching to the Sci-Fi Society podcast, Volume 20. We made it to Volume 20. Gojira 851, Walter Ross. We started this back in early 2021, and we're still going strong as we can. And if you guys are already seeing the thumbnail, we are going to be talking about another one of my at least top 15 films of all time, 2003's Underworld with Kate Beckinsale, Scott Speedman, and a whole list of top-notch European and American actors, stuntmen, and of course I had to bring the crew, man. Starting off with our Master-in-Chief of the Metal Tavern, DJ Anubis, and finally, bringing back again, even though it's hard, it's always on the fly. Gojira 851, glad to have him back. And we also have the Professor, Dan Filming, one of our newest members of the Sci-Fi Society, and already making a name for himself because he already has a nickname. How crazy is that? And last but not least, we have the mayor of G-Fest himself, Walter Lavelle Ross, aka Jedi Grand Bell. So, gentlemen, thank you as always for joining me on this podcast. We made it to 20, man. Like, holy shit! Like, even I'm not. You guys know I'm not one to really like get to that point where, oh my god, I made 100 videos, and I make 200 videos, or I make 300 videos. It's like I'm not much of a legacy type of guy, or like when it comes to putting in a lot of work. To me, this is not work. To me, this is fun interaction. It's therapeutic. It's just talking and hanging out with my extended family, and I really do enjoy and just hanging out with you guys. And I'm grateful for you guys just being a part of the Sci-Fi Society. And now let's get to it, man. I'm gonna start now. Besides me, I'll start last, but I want to start with everyone here first. I'm gonna go with the professor himself. When did you catch or hear word of mouth or any rumors on Underworld when it came out? Oh, actually, you know what? You weren't. You were only like what? You're really young. So just tell us when you actually first
Yeah,
saw it, man.
yeah. I was only 3 years old when this movie came out, and I
Yeah.
didn't hear about it until I want to say 20. No, it was 2018. I heard about it when I was in town. We were getting some photos developed, family photos, and one of the people who worked there, he recommended that I look at Underworld because I both I like watching and sometimes making movies. So he recommended that I go and watch Underworld, and just by pure coincidence or luck or whatever it was, I walked down the street into the secondhand media store, and the first thing you see when you went inside of the door was this. And I was
Yeah.
just like, well, what the hell am I doing? Go grab it, get it. And I'm glad I did. It was a really interesting idea on the take of the whole vampire, werewolf, ancient rivalry going on and how that's developed throughout the storyline. And also the character designs from the wardrobe to the personality portrayed by the actors was also very interesting to me.
Yes. Oh, great, man. No, I mean, you always bring up good points, and that's see. And I also wanted to mention that this film had a stellar cast of English actors. You know, we have Bill Nye, Michael
Yeah.
Sheen, Kate Beckinsale, and Scott Speedman was pretty much coming up. You know, Kate Beckinsale already had a name, but she was this movie and this character really like catapulted her into more action sci-fi movies and
That's
even
right.
back then, she's not super young. She wasn't super young in this film, but she was already very branching out and breaking into it, into Hollywood. And now I'll give it back to Gojira 851.
First time I saw this film, I was 18, just finishing up with high school, actually, which it's the opposite end, I guess. And saw it in theaters, and I was blown away because the last time I'd really seen any of these monsters ever really near each other was either in fan fiction, in books or comics, or in the film The Monster Squad. Not really fighting against each other, but being around each other. So the concept of seeing them fight each other was in a big budget film was a lot of fun. Also, Kate Beckinsale. Last time I saw her, I believe was in Pearl Harbor. I know she's done other work in her life, so I don't really want to pigeonhole her into just one thing. But the last time I saw her was in that film. Never seen Scott Speedman before. I know he was starting to get up at that time. Actually, I was introduced to a lot of actors at this time, and they go on to do other things. I was really impressed with Michael Sheen, who was Lucian in this film.
Yep.
His heavy or his bodyguard in film Rays,
Yeah.
with that really deep voice, has gone on to do a lot of video game voices in the future as
Yeah.
well. Just a real badass character. It's a badass film. It's also has a lot of sexual tones to it as well, but we'll get into that later. But it's a great film that spawned quite a franchise as well. And what you want to say about the franchise, that's completely up to you. I love it, but here we are. Okay, I'm done.
Absolutely, no, absolutely, man. Thank you. And Jedi Graham Bell. When did you see this, man? When did you even get wind of it, and when did you finally see it?
And by chance, by seeing it on, in fact, it was I didn't see the I saw the trailer not in the theater but on television, and not on YouTube. This is before YouTube became rampant. In fact, I don't think YouTube was invented yet. Maybe I can't remember for sure. But I saw the trailer and I was seeing how they gave this very dark, very ominous feel with okay, we're talking about vampires and werewolves, and I'm just kind of like, wow, it's just something different. And the thing that grabbed me the most from that trailer was that it just shows how badass a character Selene is when she jumps off the building, comes down and just lands and just walks off. I'm just like, okay, I'm booked. And then they kick in with that song Red Tape, just kind of carry it on. I was just like, okay, this is all right. This is going to be something different. This is not exactly what I thought it would be. And then I actually pitched it to a friend of mine. He loves movies too, and we went to go see it that following. I think it was in September when it came out. And like I say, we just enjoyed the hell out of it, because it was just like it was a blending of two things that we never thought would be possible. Although people tried, it failed, and seeing it in this way, in this kind of ominous way, it was. I was just kind of like, all right, this is something totally different. But like I was saying before, I mentioned before we started, it's funny how something like this is Gojira 851 mentioned. It's funny how when you start something, you don't think franchise right away, but then when it takes on a life of its own, there it goes. So self-sustaining, and here we are. Like it says, we got 5 movies out of it. Out of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man, and it's like the aesthetic of something we hadn't really seen before, and it brought that style of innovation as far as the early 2000s, and bringing in a stellar cast. Like a lot of these actors were growing up. Bill Nye's already known, especially for being a European actor and an English actor. So Anubis, my brother, and worry when before I'm done, I'll let Anubis know about something that was also from this film that was also really cool. But Anubis, tell us, man, how'd you catch wind of it, and when you saw it, and I'm pretty sure you loved it. So yeah, man, we already talked about it. So.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters upon release a year before they were doing the trailers, and a friend of mine, I used to go to movies a lot more back then, saw it, and I said, this is something that's going to be up my alley. But as a concept, I had to take people back. I've discussed this story before, to 1990, when a young DJ Anubis had written a script called The Other Side, which actually pitted vampires against werewolves. I was dealing with a friend of mine at the time. He was writing from the vampire point of view, and I was writing from the werewolf point of view. Now, it wasn't like Underworld in terms of presentation, but the idea was there. So yes, I kicked myself for never following through, never copywriting that shit, and now I don't get any money from it. But kudos to Kevin Gregal, who plays Ray's, and surprisingly, Danny McBride are both writers and creators of this. So many kudos to them. One thing I will point out that Gojira pointed out, Michael Sheen shines as Lucian. And it's so funny to me because if you ever saw the Twilight series, he actually plays the lead vampire in that one. So he's playing both sides. But I love his performance in this. And the other thing I can say right now is Kate, you in that leather.
I was kind of mentioning that too, but I'm pretty sure you guys would have done that already. So I'm already love Kate Beckinsale. Even to this day, she looks good. So she doesn't age.
Amazing.
But she takes care of herself. She doesn't put her body through the freaking grinder and doesn't freaking do any Botox or none of that plastic surgery
She's
stuff.
Immortal.
She takes care of herself, bro. She works out, she runs, she diets. I'm like, holy shit, but yeah, man. But yeah, she's great. But no, thank you, Anubis. Thank you, everyone, for your takes on first watching it. I already knew, man. Just even when when I just got to say this, since we're hit the 20th, man, this might be a little longer of a stream than usual, but I got to talk about when me and Anubis first started interacting, and right away when he started telling me, little by little as I talked to him that he was a werewolf guy, and I said, oh, dude, he's got to love Underworld. Like, he has no choice but to like Underworld, because if he does not, we are going to have problems. And I was like, yeah, but I'm sure he did it, man. And when he mentioned, he's like, oh yeah, I love that scene, and I'll just get my quick take on it. We all know that the Universal monsters, and that started pretty much the interaction between vampires, werewolves, Frankenstein and the Mummy, and then we had Monster Squad, and Monster Squad was the first movie that I had seen that, like, Gojira just mentioned, that they have a werewolf and a vampire in the same movie. Now this just takes it 2-3 notches up, and the style, like I mentioned, it does have sci-fi aspects, which I like. It does have little sci-fi aspects, and the acting, they could have, the actors could have really been like, it's not a super high budget film, but we could just do it. No, you could tell they actually took their role seriously, especially Michael Sheen. I mean, everybody mentioned that Michael Sheen killed it, man. Like, he totally, and look what it branched out. I mean, the series actually, it made good money, but they were probably already going to be done at Evolution. But when they said, no, you know what, Michael Sheen did such a good job, let's bring him out and let's do a prequel, which is Rise of the Lycans. And anybody who is watching, or anybody who watched the replay, me and Anubis and Big Bad Wolf had already done the Sci-Fi Society podcast on Rise of the Lycans, and that, like, we can talk about that film too. And I tried to find the video, I didn't have it anymore, so I was gonna try to throw it in there. But yeah, so it's a great series, even though the last two films were a little little iffy. But I'm all about Rise of the Lycans, Underworld, and Underworld Evolution. But yeah, I mean, I loved it, man. I love werewolves. I'm a werewolf guy, man. Yeah. I saw your comment, Kevin, and yeah, man, I throw it back out there. Yeah. He said, look at that. He said, yeah, one more thing before I catch my 40 wings. Vampires rule, werewolves drool. Well, I mean, what can we say? Vampires are, pretty, ladylike and wear makeup, even the men, and, dresses and all that stuff. At least I'd rather be a werewolf and just be able to, tear vampires apart, which is...
Out of respect for the professor, I will not be a swearwolf.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, but no, I like vampires. I like werewolves, and even another film that I really like, that I saw when I was a kid was Interview with the Vampire. So
the only vampire I'm afraid of is fucking Blade. Fuck that dude.
Oh yeah, right. Well, he doesn't care much for werewolves, but he's a vampire guy. He doesn't like vampires, so
Yep.
But we ain't got to worry about that, man. Of course, we have Anubis, who is the matriarch, as you say, or the patriarch of
Matriarch.
I was gonna say, but it's like, there you go. That's what I'm saying. But
I think I just said resident, but yeah, we gotta go matriarch. That's great.
There you go, man. I gotta throw you up there, bro. It's
Hey,
number
we
20,
were
man.
forewarned that you weren't on your top game tonight. That's okay. I'm giving you a pass.
Yeah, there you go, man. There you go. But no, yeah, like back to the film, man. Now we're gonna get to it. And one more thing before the soundtrack. The soundtrack was pretty good. I mean, it's not on the League of the Crow, but if you guys anybody had saw in the beginning when I started the intros, I love that song from Johnette Napolitano called "Suicide Note," and if you hear that song, it's in the background when I have the mini video for the thumbnail of this live stream. That song, man, is like, I heard that song.
Is that the one that gets played like for the romantic scenes between Selene and Steven's character?
No. They never really put it in the film, but it's just that when I bought the soundtrack, I listened to it and I was already, I was about 23 at the time, and I was already, going through my own little problems, and so when I listened to the soundtrack's really good. So they have Maynard was a kind of a part of the production and stuff like that, and but it's a great soundtrack, you know. And I wanted to say, do you know any of the songs, Anubis? Like any of the bands that were on there?
No, I don't. I mean, I haven't really looked at it, but I do like the one song they use for the romance. I really like. It's a very beautiful piece. I don't know who does it, but it's a really nice piece
Yeah,
that they have. I think they
yeah.
used it in Interrogation too.
Well, it was a mixture. It had part of the score and it had some of the songs. It wasn't a full like musical soundtrack. It had scores and it had kind of like the Dracula, kind of like the Bram Stoker's Dracula soundtrack, because I have that one too. It has scores and it has singing and everything like that. But yeah, I just wanted to throw it that DJ Anubis' way about the album, and I'm pretty sure, you know, he loves rock. He's a a super rock enthusiast. So okay, now guys, I'm gonna just start getting to the film, and like I said, it's a movie that really it was the first time, it was the first of its kind at the time, and we start off in Budapest, and we have this background narration from Kate Beckinsale, who is the main lead of this film. And just to add, I forgot, you know, I want to add the cast before we start. And the movie, okay, it's a 2003 action horror film directed by Len Wiseman. And in this featured film directorial debut, oh wow, so it was debut, I didn't know that. And the screenplay was from, like Anubis said, Danny McBride, and based on the story by Kevin Gorvo.
It's not close enough. We're probably butchering it, but yeah, close enough.
Yeah. And then so it was between Wiseman, Kevin, and McBride that made up this whole thing and put it into an actual film. So it's good. And then it stars Kate Beckinsale. Of course, we all know about Kate Beckinsale. And then Scott Speedman, Michael Sheen, Shane Broley, and Bill Nye. I mean, the cast speaks for itself. So the plot centers around the history of vampires and Lycans, and you know, taking the word Lycan from, you know, lycanthrope, and which means werewolf, of course. And then the main plot is Selene, a death dealer hunting Lycans. She finds herself attracted to a human, Michael Corbin Speedman, who is being targeted by Lycans. After Michael is bitten by a Lycan, Selene must decide whether to do her duty or to kill him or go against her plan and save him. So, like I said, we're starting off in Budapest. The style's already cool. Trench coats, all leather tight suits, you know, platform boots, and like Walter had just mentioned, the opening has her at the top of, I don't know what kind of building, next to the gargoyles, and that's a very perfect. Oh shit! What happened to Walter? Okay, there you go. It's so gothic, but it's not gothic to the point where it's like overkill, because Anubis would understand what that is. And Selene is narrating, talking about the blood feud between vampires and werewolves, which are Lycans in the film, and she talks about how it's been going on for years. She's actually 300 centuries old, or 300 years old.
No, like
And
600 years old.
yeah, and it centers around what happened between Lucian, who was the main warlord for the werewolves, and what happened with either Victor or Craven. Yeah, Craven, who supposedly, you know, ended the war by killing Lucian. So we go to the point where she's looking across with her partner. It's raining, and she has that great look, and then all of a sudden she just falls from the top of that building, from the edge, and just lands right on her feet, and it made it look so good with the wire work. I remember 2023, man, they were still using practical effects, and we'll get to that, and they were great practical effects. And now we're going to the part where they're following some Lycans. They're following, of course, Rays, and they never mentioned the other guy, but they're after a specific human called Michael Corbin, and he's an intern for a hospital, and they're going down the subway in Budapest, and they also have death dealers, which are vampires, who are following him. So here's one of the parts where they start going to the subway. They're about to, you know, get into, you know, to the subway cart, and you see Ray's is just his presence, man. The bald head, the aviator type fur coats that they have, and hard brown leather. I really liked how they differentiated werewolves from.
His costume looks like he's pissed off.
Yeah, even the costumes, man, and the makeup, they differentiated the vampires and the Lycans, which was great. And I soaked it all up, man. When Reyes was there, and I love that part when I put in the intro, man, when he just looks and he senses them, and he yells, "Blood!" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" It's a good thing. This is a good thing there was no blood and Crips around, bro, because he would have gotten jumped. No, but it's funny. Yeah, but okay, we're at that point. So now they're in an all-out shootout in the freaking subway where there's so many freaking passerby, and there's innocent bystanders and everything. And a girl gets shot, and Michael tries to he gets her to a corner where she won't get shot, and then you notice that one of the Lycans shoots his gun at one of the vampires, and the vampire starts to dissolve with from inside, and he starts glowing that light, like super ultraviolet, light blue color. And that I did not expect that. I don't know about you guys, but I did not expect that kind of. This movie was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Like this movie was ahead of its time. I mean, not fucking how do you say it, like light years, but it was there. And I liked how they used that style of a UV round that kills vampires, and then you have the one where the vampires are using silver bullets and they nail one of the Lycans, and they're dude. I mean, the special effects, even the practical effects with the guns were great, man. And then you have Selene with the two automatic pistols.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, like for an automatic pistol, bro. I mean, I can just say for real that they probably needed to reload that thing every single scene, because like a pistol like that, man, it's probably like an 8-shooter, maybe 9-shooter at the most. But it was great. It looked great. And then they're having to shoot out with the Lycans and everything. And then one of the vampires decides to follow Reyes inside of the cart. And that's when Selene, the star character, Kate Beckinsale's character, goes after the other Lycan who's trying to run and make a run for it. And she also saw how they were trying to go after Michael, but then she got foiled. They got foiled because that's when Selene shot him in the chest and he took off. So here's another scene that I'm gonna break down, and I know for a fact I know all of us liked it, but I know for me, just like me and Anubis, who are huge werewolf fans, and I'm pretty sure Gajira likes werewolves too, that once that vampire, I forgot his name, I don't know if it was Rigel or whatever, he was they're running inside of the subway cart, and they both run out to the end where they both knock the door off. And this is where they show another great difference between a Lycan and a vampire. And this is where Reyes also shined a lot in this movie, and he was not the bodyguard, but he was the second in command, and they showed the transformation. He rips the clothes off, and then the CGI was pretty good, and it has, to me, in my opinion, just like Daniel said, that it's aged pretty decently. So
Yeah.
Reyes totally transforms into this huge Lycan that has cat features but still has the werewolf style, and huge, enormous trap muscles, man, and just literally destroys that other vampire, man. And they didn't even have a chance, but they had to show the difference between a Lycan fighting a vampire in a Lycan form, which most vampires don't stand a chance, unless they're an elder. But that's the part that I really loved. And then this is where they get to the part where Selene is still chasing that other guy, and I like that little scene where they're going through the subways, and then all of a sudden she's just looking, and then all of a sudden she just sees the subway cart just passing, and it has that little that cinematography was great, where they have the subway cart passing her, and she's just oh shit, she thought it was the Lycan, and there she's stalking him, right, and she finally nails him, and she kills him, shoots him, and she kills Steve keeps shooting him, because they do mention in the movie later that certain Lycans that are older, not just one silver bullet's going to kill them. It's going to take a multiple a large amount of silver for the silver to penetrate their organs. So I like how she keeps shooting them, and all of a sudden she hears something and senses something. Vampires have high senses, and she senses rays, and like, oh shit, we all know that she will not stand a chance against rays. She has no chance against rays. And what I like about it is that she's trying to run and everything, but then another favorite part where she throws the glaives right when Rays is coming, she throws the glaives like that, and they split open and they hit him, and I was like, oh wow, dude. I was like, that was a great scene. And then she takes off, makes a run for it, because she knows she can't. She can maybe last a while, but hand to hand, she has no chance against Rays. Rays is he's older, he's more powerful, he's stronger, and so I'm gonna pass it now to Anubis. So Anubis, we're at the point where she's already run away from Rays. She nailed him with the glaives. And then she goes towards hearing the commotion that she's hearing a bunch of other Lycans underneath the sewer. So take it from there, bro.
Yeah, first things first. Bill Nye is a national treasure. Just want to put that out there. He's a great actor. This is one of my favorite roles from him. The other thing is, the only thing I've ever found problematic for me with the Underworld series, and it's not a big deal, but you mentioned how the Lycans look like cat-like and stuff. I find them look a little more like hyenas.
Yeah.
But when of course you saw Rise of the Lycans, you see they're more wolf-like. So that's my only problem. I wish they all were in full transformation, but I kind of understand why they did this, because they wanted to keep some of those human characteristics in there.
Yeah.
But I do prefer like the William version where they're just all full werewolf. That's more my style. Matt agrees with me there. But it doesn't hurt the film any. I mean, I do dig it. But yeah, so Selene's down in these like sewers back in the back of the subway and all that, and she hears all this noise, and so she soon learns that there's more Lycans. She doesn't know how many, but she just knows they're there. And that brings us to this group of Lycans down in this area where I don't know, these guys had beef. A couple of Lycans had a beef with each other, just fucking around. They're placing bets who's going to whip someone's ass, whatever it is. This is where we are introduced to Lucian, who walks up and he's like, we are not animals. We're not dogs. You guys need to behave better. But that's the interesting thing about when you brought up how it was different when they were jumping after each other, chasing each other down the subway, is that the Lycans have always been more primal, whereas the vampires always kind of considered high class, prima donnas, the way they carry and conduct themselves. Even in the mansion, you see later on that they're all high class. It's how they live.
Yeah.
The Lycans, they're dirty, they're mungy, they don't care. Yeah.
This is what I like about the distinguishing between the two factions in this movie. It shows the vampires as being the rich, those who have, and the Lycans being those who have not, being in the slums and relying on more, I guess you would say, guerrilla tactics, whereas the vampires, they're more organized, they're more tactile.
That's a great example, yeah. Guerrilla tactics, yeah. Yeah, and so Lucian, of course, is, they're still talking about the war, and this is interesting. I'm only going to point back to Rise a little bit. In Rise, Lucian was more scaled back. He was like a nicer guy. He says it just for someone in the movie here. He says, I didn't really resent them. I was a slave, but I didn't really resent them. But it wasn't, of course, until Sonia's death that he became this angry, resentful guy. So we see in Underworld, he's like a monster. Like he's pissed. He's got anger, and he's ready to just take them all out, whatever the cost. So obviously he wants his guys in the pack to like get in line. He doesn't want them being loose and doing whatever the fuck they want. So he's trying to keep them under reins. So he tries to tell them in some ways, act like you've been there before. Don't be fucking animals. Just be there, And of course, whether or not that sinks in, it's hard to say. But I think that's sort of the Lycan nature. They're just animals by nature. You just can't really get around it. So anyway, eventually Selene makes it back to the mansion. We're introduced to Craven, who's now running that particular part of the Coven, or at least that household. And he's a guy that's gone through the years, supposedly the one that killed Lucian initially. Like, he's the one that has cut the flesh from him. He's like this hero. Victor has trusted him with everything because he did this. He was the only last remaining vampire to survive that night. And so he's got this reputation that he's the man.
Yeah.
And of course, he has unluckily chosen his affections on Selene, who is like the wild child death dealer who doesn't want anything to do with him or the posh life. She likes hunting down Lycans because of what she believes happened to her family from the Lycans when she was a kid.
Yeah.
So we learn a little bit of her backstory where she's, you know, a young kid, her family's killed by Lycans. Victor comes across her, turns her, and that's how she became basically Victor's child now. But he's currently in hibernation. You know, he's not due to come out for another few centuries. Amelia, who we are introduced in Rise, is the one running the entire show right now, but she does it from another land. So Selene is trying to figure out like why the Lycans were there. They started shooting in open public, something they don't normally do. So she knows there's like some other ulterior motive of what they're doing. So she's going back to the video feed because they kind of record shit all the time with vampires. And she discovers that Michael Coven, even though she didn't know the name, they were chasing down this guy. They were trying to get this guy, and she don't know why. Craven, you know, he's like, I don't care about this shit. We don't let them do whatever the fuck they want to do. We got other business coming. The elders, leading by Amelia, are due to come because they are going to be raising Marcus, one of the original vampires, from his slumber to take over for Amelia. Because I think it's like every 100 years they swap or something. So to that effect. Because I think it's her, Victor, and Marcus. They're like the three major elders that survived the initial run. So Craven's busy trying to get her to get in line to do her bidding as a daughter or whatever to welcome Amelia's arrival. But she's more focused on trying to figure out why the Lycans were down there. She believes now there's a lot more of them than they thought because they thought they eradicated most of them. So now it's just a matter of convincing Craven what she can do. But she finally figures out that, you know, this guy that Lycans are after, she needs to go find this guy. And she hunts down his information, is Michael Corvin. How she doesn't really know the name fits with the Corvinus, I don't know, but she doesn't know that history, I guess. I guess most of the history was held from him, some of them, because that's what they were saying. But she ends up chasing him down, at least his apartment, and finds out that he's like a normal student of like a medical student who's intern. And not much to it. Like there's not a lot there to really show us why they would be after him. So she doesn't really know the motive there. And he ends up coming back to the apartment. And as she's trying to basically force him to figure out why they're chasing him, which he currently doesn't even know what the fuck's going on. He just knows there's a gunfight. There's cops looking for him. He didn't even know what the fuck was going on. But as she's trying to question him, this is a point where Lucian and a few others are coming to get him. Lucian's kind of pissed off that Ray's and the rest didn't get him initially, so he's kind of sarcastic. Gotta do it myself. So he's there, and they start weeding her out, and he actually does a pretty good job. He has the other guys distract her while he goes after Michael. So if you want to hand it off, I guess Dan or somebody can take over.
Yeah. I just wanted to add on what you were saying. A few things. Yes. Lucian was a part, as you know, he was a willing slave for the vampires, like back in the Dark Ages. So, and Lucian still has that you could tell he commands respect. Like people freak out when he's coming because he is what people don't know if they're watching this from our last year when we did our Rise of the Lycans. He is the first of his kind. So he's the first Lycan, and he commands respect and he gets respect, and he does try to keep them in line. It's like you're all acting like a pack of rabid dogs. So that's the part where, you know, like Anubis was saying, and the fact that the vampires are more elegant and organized than we have the Lycans, who are more, you know, thug style, survival, in the gutter and everything like that. So that's the great differentiation that I just wanted to add what Lucas had said. And now, yes, we'll pass it to Walter.
Okay. Well, we're in the apartment, and of course, I want to bring this as Lucas brought up. He's trying to find out what's going on, why the Lycans want this guy so bad. And she asks him why they after you. He's like, you got to think about this. You're asking a question. He has no fucking idea what the hell you're talking about. He doesn't know he's being chased. He doesn't. In fact, when he gets to his apartment, you hear the answering machine go off, and it's his, one of the guys he works with, Adam. He tells him that some cops were here, which are the Lycans that are inside. Say that you're part of a shootout and they're trying to get in touch with you. So all he knows is he's mixed up in some things going on, and he has no idea what's going on. So he gets away from Selene because the Lycans start breaking into the roof and everything. The apartment of Michael. He gets away. He gets in the elevator, gets away. Before they pass, before he opens the door and everything. The Lycans, and I love this moment right here. The Lycans come crawling across the walls and everything. And the funny thing is, this was done in a way practically with a little digital sweetness to it. Crawling on the walls, just coming at her kind of like aliens, if you think about it. They were crawling on the walls like this, and she started shooting them and everything, And this is the moment where I feel that they got this from something else, where she starts shooting up the floor, all around, and she falls through just to get to Michael before he gets out of the elevator. Michael exits the elevator, and there's Lucian right there, and he just kind of smiles and smirks. But when Selene sees him, she shoots him, and then it's like it hurts him, He bites Michael, but not at the point of, trying to change him. He's kind of getting a blood sample from him because he's got a mouthful of blood. And in that moment, he kind of takes out a test tube and pours in from his mouth just enough of what that blood appears, Michael is, And at that moment, he rips off his jacket to get those bullets out of his head, get them out. And I love this moment because it's like if they get deep enough into the veins of the Lycans, they would kill them, But cutting from that to this, Selena managed to get Michael out of harm's way, gets to the car, and here comes a moment which I love. I love the hell out of this. He chases after Selene and Michael on foot. And this is such a badass moment because, see, this is a scene, I saw the behind the scenes of how they did this, where you see the car pass by, but all of a sudden you see Lucian just come running coming right behind him like a wolf, and everything. And it's like I say, that was not done digitally, nothing like that. That was all done a practical way when they did that. Him doing it was stuntman.
Real quick, sorry, Walter. I meant to say this when I was talking about because Century, you brought up the ultraviolet bullets, and how that would kind of set the tone for a lot of things. But it got me thinking, you're pretty close. Like a year before, Blade 2 had dabbled around with that technology with the balls down in their own sewer when they were using the ultraviolet down there and stuff. So yeah, those two movies are really kind of pushing the boundaries of how they would fight as immortals between each other. And of course, Walter's bringing up the silver bullets now. Later on, we kind of get to the liquid metal, which I thought was pretty ingenious. So yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you up, but I meant to mention
that's a good point because it's just funny you bring that up because the year before Blade 2 came out and they did something kind of similar. Go ahead,
Walter, my brother. I forgot to add too. I'm pretty sure you mentioned it, but the part where he gets shot and he gets back up, and I pre-mentioned it, and he just pushes the silver out of his body, like he literally just like looks, and that's how strong and powerful, because he's the first of his kind. So you would think all those bullets, those bullets would be affecting him, but all he does is with just by sheer willpower and strength, he squeezes them out of his body.
You can see Ray's when he has to get those fucking blades out. He's like, ah, he really hates it.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what I liked about it. Like, they put so much attention to detail in their practical effects, their makeup, their wardrobe, everything was spot on, and I was really, I was soaking all this in, man, because that's the kind of stuff that I would like. And then the fact that they use the modern, guns and warfare, just added to it. I'm sorry, Mo, go ahead.
No, because that's, like I say, that adds on to it, because that's the simple fact is remember I mentioned this before in some other podcasts, that you mix the digital with the practical to get the effects that you want. That's why I think if there's something that Daniel mentioned earlier, we discussing, the effects still hold up to this day. Not because the story and no, it's because the practicality of this film works so well, because they use more of that than just the digital. As I said before, they use the digital to just squeeze whatever was going on. So like I said before, the moment when you see Lucian run after them from behind toward the car, like I say, that's all practical. That was no digital manipulation, nothing like that. That was totally like I say, if we ever discuss, I mean, I have to break it down for you, but basically, he's on the stuntman was on a platform. The platform was dragged by the car, and that's how he was able to do that particular scene. But basically, getting back to the story, he runs up on the car like lickety split, and he pulls out his blade that he got in his sleeve. And he's going, ham, punching the holes through the roof and everything. And the third time's the charm, he managed to stab Selene, with that.
Shoulder,
in the shoulder, right? And it's like I say, you figure like, okay, she hurt. Because at the point, you don't think that she can. I mean, you know they can get hurt, they can get killed. But the way she, explains pain is like, okay, she really does have some vulnerability as a vampire, because she doesn't really show it. So, and that shows how badass she really is, But getting to the point, he breaks, he flies off the car, and like I say, this is another good example of stunt work, practicality, and digital. That was a stuntman that did that first role, and then when you see Michael Sheen's character, Michael Sheen's face, like that's him, but it was just edited way you can see that that's the character. But anyway, he bags up, and in my mind, I'm like, why didn't you just go forward when she breaks? She backs up, then moves forward. She kind of hits him, but he flips pirouette and lands on his feet, and he just receives the blade. And he's like, well, okay, I didn't catch him, but I got something just as good. So in this moment, as I said before, Selene seems so badass, you feel like, okay, nothing can really harm her or whatever. But here comes, you see the signs of her fading out, showing some, some kind of resistance, that she's losing blood and she's losing consciousness. Michael noticed this, and he said, pull over, because you're going to get us both killed if you don't pull over, because you're losing blood and you're going to pass out. So she said, back off, And this is kind of the thing right here, when you feel like Selene doesn't want to show no sense of vulnerability in her part. She's here to do a job. She's trying to figure out some things, but she doesn't want to feel vulnerable. And this is a moment where she finally just passes out. She just like loses, just like passes out. And then the car just spins out of control, lands in the water, and he almost drowned, but he managed to get her out in a way to save her life. sit there, on the side there, where he kind of patches her up and everything. And like I say, he just kind of notices that he's bleeding for some reason. He doesn't really realize why. But basically, this is showing really good character development with her part because we don't know right away. We knew we mentioned before, the reason why she does what she does because her family was killed supposedly by Lycan. But she doesn't want to show no kind of vulnerability. Her initial thing is kill the Lycans because they started a war, and this is what she's been told. And when she sees a human, unfortunately, he's going to turn because Lucian did him. He doesn't feel like I should be vulnerable at any point. I should be fully confident in what I'm doing. But these are the moments where slowly the walls of what she feels for anything she's been doing is going to be slowly dissolved. Because when you watch this film, you realize that not everything is black and white. There's a real gray area, and you get the sense that something's not all that it's supposedly be. Because soon you discover that there's betrayal going on, but we don't want to jump ahead though. But I'll pass it on to someone else because I can talk on
Well,
forever.
let me just add something right here, and I'll move it. I'll move it to the next person. That's also true. How they did a lot of the stunt work, and I don't know if you knew about it. I don't know if Anubis knew about it or anybody that Michael Sheen got badly sick while filming this movie. He got pneumonia filming this movie because they did it in wintertime.
Yeah.
So and in Budapest is fucking cold as fuck over there when it's when it's winter. So, but he still pushed on. He still pushed on and still did all the scenes he did. But he got sick. But yeah, man. I mean, well, let's say they were younger, and Michael Sheen was just coming up, and when you go to the fact that she goes and they start the dynamic between her and Michael, and then Michael saves her, and then she ends up bringing him. She ends up paying the favor back, and she takes him over there to the Coven, and she saved his. She noticed she saved his life. You can tell she doesn't have that kind of compassion really because she's just so focused on being a death dealer and killing werewolves. Because like you said, she's only told about this, and she's just following orders. This is just what they, like you said, this is what they tell her. So she's just doing what she's told. You know what I'm saying? Now I'll pass it to Gojira 51. We'll leave it off where he's already at the Coven, and Selene was talking with Craven, saying all this crap, and then we'll just take it from there.
Okay, so they wake up at the Coven. Well, Michael wakes up at the Coven, and Selene is over him, looking at him, and we get kind of like a Florence Nightingale kind of thing, where it's kind of like they're like almost like falling in love with each other, almost, falling in love with your patient kind of thing like that. But anyway, and Craven is pissed. He wants to know why she brought a human back to their Coven. He's madly in love with her. He really wants to be with her, and I see why. But anyway, he really wants to be with Selene, and she just wants nothing to do with him. But she wants what's best for the Coven. She knows that the Lycans and this mystery character. She doesn't know it's Lucian, by the way. She thinks it is because she knows that symbol that was around his neck. She saw the pendant, but she doesn't know it's him yet. But she's trying to figure out, because she knows that Michael is important to this entire dynamic. So meanwhile, she's going off. She's arguing with Craven as the. Oh God, you guys are gonna kill me for this. I can't remember her name. The friend of
Erica.
Selene. What's up?
Erica.
Thank you.
The blonde, yeah.
Right, the blonde. She's actually interested in this whole dynamic as well, and she's actually sneaks her way into the room, and she wants to take a look at Michael for herself. And she's looking, and she actually notices the bite mark, and then she freaks out. She does her vampire thing, and Michael escapes, and he leaves the compound. And this puts Selene into lockdown. Not lockdown, like she's been in detention pretty much at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, Craven then proves that he is the snake in the grass, and he actually meets up with Lucian and actually wants to then put off the plans of whatever the plans are till much later. It says that this human has messed everything up, and Lucian says, you focus on your part, and I'll focus on mine. The human is not your concern.
Yep.
And we'll proceed as planned pretty much. And Selene, she knows that something bad is going to happen. And her main focus at this point is Victor. She wants Victor is her father. And Victor at this point is essentially dead at this point. He has to be resurrected. And if he stays in the way he is, then he can be destroyed. So she then, she takes a shower and she imprints a memory onto herself. A very strong memory, but the thing about vampires, unless you're an elder and you have a correct, like a mindset, you can't make correct memories to give to an elder. So she creates the memory of everything that's going on and tries to tell Victor what's going on. And then she goes and she begins the ritual herself to awaken Victor. And she proceeds to, and she does. And that creates a whole new bed of worms for our heroes and our villains as well. Meanwhile, Amelia arrives. And, Ray's meets them there with his group, and Craven's group is supposed to meet them there as well. However, they don't intervene to help, and that's when Ray's actually kills Amelia, because Ray's is a lot stronger than we originally thought, which is something I want to kind of go back to at the beginning of the film. I know it's kind of weird to go back to, but we're talking about like guerrilla fighting. But then
Guerrilla warfare.
as soon as they brought up the ultraviolet rounds, this is why I like strong characters like Selene, because she's strong at the beginning of the film, but once she sees the ultraviolet rounds, she doesn't like turn to like She-Hulk and like try to be like a She-Woman or something, or She-Hulk or something. She actually realizes, hey, I'm in danger, and actually thinks of a plan to get out of that, and then they create the silver nitrate rounds. So it's a smart movie, and it actually came up with smart ideas to get around it as well.
Yeah, when she sees that first vampire die by the ultraviolet, she gets worried in a hurry.
It's a smarter way, and it's a smarter way to show off a strong character as well. So anyway, so Back to the Future. Back to the
totally different subject, bro.
Anyway,
just chalk it up as a reference.
So Reyes collects the blood of Amelia. So in the background, there's this doctor character that I think we've all forgot about, that the Lycans have on their side.
Strange, yep.
He's trying to create something that can I talk about that right now, or are we still saving that for a little later?
No. Well, you know what? Before you get to that, let's add on for that, because that scene was also very cool. But in between that scene, this is where Victor starts to, in other words, Craven loses his shit when he finds out that Victor's awake. Okay. So he's like you said, it's a whole another can of worms, where it's like, oh shit, now we have this. He was awakened a century ahead of schedule, and Selene is desperate to really like save her coven, or she wants to be the problem solver. She wants to be the professor. She wants to be Sherlock. She wants to crack this case to find out who's really behind it all.
She's a very old school warrior, whereas Craven, he makes a mention where he's like, what good is it being immortal if you can't live and enjoy it? And so he's more about the posh life, just chilling, doing that, whereas she's built like a warrior. She's like, no, we have a job to do. We have to eradicate the white Lycans one way or the other.
Yeah, no, exactly. And just to add to that also, thank you for that. Thank you for the addition too. And now we get to that point where, okay, Victor's already kind of told her, oh, you know what, you got to get this, you got to that, you got to find out about this, you got to find out about that. You need to give me proof. And the memories, like Gojira said, she does not have that kind of power to get all the memories that would be needed to make him believe her that Lucian is still alive. But she thinks she has a good sense, but it's like Gojira said, she's not fully sure if it's him or not, but she didn't mention the medallion. She should have mentioned all of that too. She could have said, "Oh, you know what? He had this medallion on his chest," and right away, you think about it, he could have said, "Oh shit, that is Lucian." But yeah, but anyway, like I said, now and then we go to the part where Ray's like, Ray's, and I agree with Gojira. Ray's is like top level, like second boss to Lucian. Like he's the the guy that does the dirty work, but he's very powerful. He's very old. Remember, he goes all the way back to Rise of the Lycans, and that was centuries, bro. So he's up there in age, but like you're saying that Amelia was so easily taken out. She was so easily taken out by these werewolves, and she was a powerful elder, but just because you're an elder doesn't mean you're going to be that strong. You know what I'm saying? And her was she's surrounded by nothing but bureaucrats and and wannabe blue bloods and all this shit, and they want to like they didn't, because they weren't expecting it. Like, obviously they weren't expecting that. So that's what I like about it too. And then Ray's didn't even have to change, man. All he had to do was just go in there and, okay, my soldiers did the dirty work, so okay, I'm gonna take the blood, and that's how easy it was to wipe out. But that's, well, go ahead. Well,
I was going to say, can I add one little thing to what the Gojira 851 brought up, about Selene's character? Just to bring this little tidbit out is the fact that this film came out way before this whole wokenism took over and just corrupted everything with, you got to have, we know that Selene is a strong female character. We see that. But it isn't bad to cross your head in terms of, because as you say, she's a problem solver. She wants to solve a situation. And if it involves some males or whatever, she's okay with that. She doesn't go like, oh, I got to deal with this, deal with another female or this. This was at a time where we showed strong female characters in a decent role. And it wasn't like so overwhelmed with that, And this is the problem with Hollywood now. It's like, y'all have to really just say, oh, we got to show that the female characters, they're the boss babes, and they're all turning. They don't need no man. You're like, get the fuck out of here with that shit, man.
There's a lot of diversity in that film too. A lot of
it. I mean, male and female can coexist and be strong at the same damn time. It doesn't have to be versus this versus that. No, y'all can problem solve things together, and it doesn't have to be. And the thing about this, Selene, Kate Beckinsale's character, she's the lead in this film. Okay, she's the lead in this film, and she's a strong individual female character. But she's not woke. Her character is not woke of any kind. And I just wanted to bring that up because it's so damaging how back then, this is over 20 years ago when the film came out. Now it is so overwhelmed with how they got Hollywood going with, like, if you're a female character, you got to be like stronger, smarter, just more everything than a male.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. Go ahead, Professor.
Yeah. I just want to add on to what Walter said. I think I like Selene not only because she's strong, but also because that she not only has flaws, but she also has vulnerability as well. Like when you said, when she sees firsthand the effects of the ultraviolet bullets on one of the other vampires during the shootout at the start of the film, it's like, oh shit, this is serious. And that's that kind of reaction that really elevates the tension that you feel for the character, especially when the story progresses further and she gets attacked in the car by Lucian. By Lucian. You can see that although yes, she's a vampire, she is immortal, but she's also susceptible to that kind of attack and that kind of ferocity in the battle as well. And it's the moments like, oh shit, this is not only is this a setback, but it's also a very fatal setback as well when she crashes the car into the river. And it's thanks to Michael who saves her from drowning.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, before I pass it to you, Professor. Um, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I wanted to also add. She was one of the few remaining before woke, before everything got woke, like strong female leads. She was like a strong female lead, but I did like the fact that she tried to be hard, but she knew she was vulnerable, and she starts to see, like, when shit starts getting real, she has to start really, like, like, oh man, you know what, this is happening. I gotta switch up. I gotta do research. I gotta see what's gonna happen with the Coven. She worries about the Coven. She worries about Victor. She worries about everything else. So as strong as she is, she does nothing but worry about what the things she cares about.
It's
So
almost like she's doing a reverse where she's a vampire, but she's becoming she's returning to a human trait in terms
Yeah,
of doing what she's doing, trying to figure out things.
yeah,
yeah, but no, yeah, but now I'll pass it. We're getting at the point where, okay, so Ray's takes out Amelia, and Selene finally got a hold of that doctor, Lycan, that knows all this. That's trying to get this prophecy to happen about the blood feud. About the
Yeah.
blood feud. She wants to. She they're trying to get information on the blood feud. This is proof that she wants to give to Victor. So we'll go from where Amelia gets taken out, and where Victor's talking to Selene, and that professor, and that Doctor Lycan, from that point, and then we'll start from there.
Oh, wait,
yeah,
one sec, real quick.
yeah, sure.
Um, when Victor speaks, when Bill Nye speaks, we get a master class in acting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
He steals the show, and he steals the scene of every scene that he's in.
especially in the corpse makeup. That is brilliant.
Yes, yes. I don't want to steal anything else about what is about to, because I know this is a lot to talk about. But I just wanted to throw that one little thing in. Okay,
Dude,
that's all I
his
want.
reaction when he finds out that he was woken too early. Oh my god, it was priceless. Like that was
He
a
did
great.
that so well.
His
yeah,
eyes. Look
yeah,
at
no,
his
but here's
eyes. Those
yeah,
eyes.
yeah. And here's one better, when he when he finally is rejuvenated, and Craven comes in. He's like, I asked for Selene, not you. He's like you. And what is he says, like, she's obsessed. She won't listen to me. And he goes, your incompetence is becoming most taxing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm like, man, dude. I'm like, this dude is like, I mean, it's like a new version of Dracula, but just freaking modernized. And it's like you say, man. All of these characters steal the show when they're on the spotlight, man. Lucian, Victor, Reyes, Selene. Even Michael gets his time to shine towards the end. But okay, we'll give it to the professor, where they're interrogating the Lycan right there in front of Victor.
Yeah. So Selene is like, you want proof? Here's your proof. So she drags in the Dr. Lycan, and he explains why the Lycans are interested in Michael. And so he explains that there was this oddity, this hybrid that was born in the midst of a plague, and it survived infection. Of course, the Bill Nye's character knows about this and chalks it up as a legend, as just a story. But the scientist is like, it's not even that. And he's explaining,
The Corvinus clan. There you go.
that's it, yeah, the Corvinus clan. And so he's explaining that there is an element of truth to this. And of course, they say that they're going to use Michael's blood. I think, if I remember this correctly, they're going to use Michael's blood to infuse into the Lycan genome to make them even more powerful, to make them win the war against the vampires, against the Death Dealers.
Yeah.
And that's when he also outs I think it's Michael Sheen's character Craven as the person who's been going behind the vampires and having these secret
Selling
meetings
them out.
with the Lycans. And the moment that he outs him, Michael Sheen's character is just gone. Whereas the first time I saw that, I was expecting him to have that "oh shit" reaction, but then it's like, oh, he's gone. But I really would have liked to have seen an alternate cut where he has that "oh shit" expression. So
Yeah.
he's ousted as the traitor. Meanwhile, they've got Michael. They've chained him up to a desk. Lucian is like, "Oh, where are my manners?" And then he goes over the whole backstory. It's like, yes, I was working for the vampires in servitude, but it wasn't a revenge thing. But then it basically all changed when he fell in love with Sonia,
Yeah.
Victor's daughter, and basically got her pregnant, which he was punished with being whipped, being lashed, while she was eventually burnt to death by being exposed to the sun by her own father. And that there was the seed that started off the war. So already we're learning more about this conflict on an even deeper level than what Celine's narration at the start of the film began. So this is what I like about the subplot of the history of the war. It begins with such simplicity, but it's also enough mystery in the simplicity of the narration itself. And as we progress further, when Selene realizes the amulet around Lucian's neck, when she breaks into the library and reads the book, there's a page that's torn, that's revealing Lucian's face. That page is gone, but the necklace is still there.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the flesh in the back of the book, as you said, that there was a piece of flesh that was branded. Victor took off, well, no, not Victor, Craven took off the flesh and put it into the book. You say, okay, that's evidence enough, but that doesn't explain the half the page is torn. Something's not adding up. So as much as she's a problem solver and trying to, of course, strategize better against the Lycans in combat, she's also trying to figure out just what the hell is going on. What truths haven't been told?
Yeah.
Of course, she leads an assault onto the Lycans' hideout, just as Craven. There's so many names. Craven has gone to Lucian saying, "I thought we had a deal. You keep fucking up the bargain that we've got here." And this is the bombshell that I actually like, when Lucian said, "Look, we helped assassinate this coven. The position of power that they had is yours. On top of that, you get to be the peacekeeper between the vampires and the Lycans."
Yep.
So the whole time we feel that there was so there's like two betrayals going on simultaneously, which is really good. I actually like this device a lot. Of course, the assault begins. Everyone's like, "Oh shit! Quick, let's scatter, get out of here!" Then all of a sudden, Craven uses the liquid metal round.
So when I
Lucian. Yeah, that's it. Liquid silver. That's it. Of course, it proves effective that it actually almost kills Lucian outright. And Craven,
I like Lucian's quote a little bit before that when he says, "It never occurred to you you might have to actually lose some blood in all this."
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I'm so sorry. Can I also add? That
Mhm.
Lucian was like that is precisely, and he's like, if Victor goes stronger, Craven's like, Victor goes stronger as we speak, and like that is precisely why I need Michael, because if Victor was so easy to dispatch, you would have done it yourself centuries ago.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, see, and that's what I'm saying, and it's Gojira.
Where's
And
his
that
enemy?
proves that. Oh,
Give him
sorry.
an enemy. Everybody in this
Yeah.
movie deserves an award.
Yeah, because Craven thinks it's like Anubis said. Craven thought that everything was gonna go smoothly. Like, no, man, didn't you occur that this is gonna be real shit? That's one thing you don't know. You don't know about war. I know about war. Lucian knows about war.
Yeah.
Craven is just, like you said, a bureaucrat, and he's one of those guys that wants everything easy. But he realizes it's not gonna be that way. And but before I give it back to Daniel, to the professor. like Michael Sheen's performance as in that part where he says like like he has this like Craven is terrified of Lucian because Lucian is the first of his kind and he knows how powerful he is.
Yeah.
Even when he backstabs him, because remember, I think Lucian was gonna stay to his word, but if Michael was gonna be on their side, Lucian would just be like, let's just wipe out the rest of the vampires. Why do we need them? We don't need them. They're only if we can have a peace treaty between the Covens and werewolves, but there's always gonna be fucking bad apples are gonna fucking they're gonna how do you say it? They're gonna restart that war. No matter what, they're gonna restart.
I think Lucian knew that
Yeah.
Craven was like this very big pushover. He was using Craven as like this peace thing, but in the background, he's like, I'm finding a way to eradicate your entire species. So,
Yeah.
unlike Selene or Victor, who were always set on destroying the Lycan, Craven just wanted the posh life, so he wasn't seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
That's why, as Dan's going to get to, is he shoots him in the fucking back. He can't beat Lucian one-on-one. He had to shoot him in the fucking back.
Yeah.
Pisses me off a lot.
Yeah. He's a
Right?
coward, he's a liar, and he's a pussy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you see how Anubis got all animated when he said, "Fuck, you shot him in the fucking back."
Yeah,
I saw that scene live, like, no, you
I agree.
motherfucker.
Dude, when I saw that part, bro, I was like, no fucking way, dude. I was like, you motherfucker had to do that. And it's like I'm saying, man, like he was already in panic mode. He was already in panic mode because he thought everything was gonna go to shit. And then and it's like Anubis says too, and everybody has that assumption. I'm pretty sure Lucian was going to use Michael to just eradicate the rest of the vampires and just leave the Lycans, because Lucian, right when he says it, when before I get to Daniel, when he's talking to Michael, and he's like, "I know about your war." He's like, "My war," and then that's when he goes back to the memories. He's like, "So you didn't start the war; it was Victor who started the war."
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, 'cause he was a servant. He says it right there. Like I was born in servitude, man, and I didn't harbor no ill will until I ended up banging his daughter and got her pregnant. That's gonna make anybody freaking, it's gonna make any, father get pissed off, about something like that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm glad that they edged towards the Lycans, like slavery. And the vampires could have easily been like, look, let's live mutually. Let's live in, mutual terms. Like, you know what? We give you this, we give you that. You protect us at night. But it could have been more diplomatic and civil. But like vampires wanted to keep the hold on the Lycans as slaves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they use that dynamic really good. Go ahead.
But I was just going to just add until you that's something I never noticed until later years. Is that juxtaposition of fact that's exactly how that is pointed out, that the vampires were more this aristocratic, part, and say using the Lycans as their, pretty much their let's just say slaves, basically. And the simple fact is, it's almost a well, let's just say it. It's kind of how history has played out in the past when you see that, because here it is. And like I say, everything was good, everything was fine. But the second, because Victor had this problem really bad, he's like, I don't want the species to mix. I don't want these soldiers to mix up. It's kind of an allegory to what we see even now today, where if you're white or black in love, Asian or Latino in love, it's like somebody's gonna say, no fucking way, that ain't gonna happen, And it's just that dynamic is, you see it in here, but see, like I said, at the time I didn't really see it then because we're just dealing with vampires and werewolves. But looking at that economy of what is going on, it's like there's a bigger picture there's a bigger saying being said in this picture that many people may not kind of overlook, because they've been like, oh, it's just about werewolves and vampires fighting each other. No, it's more to it than that, I just want to add to that.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Now I'll give it back to Daniel.
I think Matt wanted to say something.
Oh yeah, Matt, go ahead. Sorry.
The only thing that I'll give Victor on this, William was out of control, so I understand why he was against the werewolves so much. But he let that get so deep in that he couldn't give Lucian a chance to be with Sonia, and that's why it was so messed up. And unfortunately, it was his undoing. And just to,
Which is really so crazy because obviously, if people haven't seen Rise of the Lycans, he had to actually forcibly put Marcus in a place, even though Marcus actually is an elder to him. Like Marcus is one of the originals with him and William.
yeah,
So like it was kind of interesting to see that dichotomy where Victor was smart enough to recognize the problem with William being on the loose. It was just like total chaos. But Marcus loves his brother, and so we kind of see that in evolution. But it was just so weird that like Marcus didn't have a little more backbone. At least, I mean, he did when he got out in the evolution. He was like a bitch, but like he was really killing shit up. But at the time, he was like, "Oh, sure, Victor, okay, whatever." You know, it's just one of those things. Like, I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, it's like you're saying like even in Rise of the Lycans, the beginning of that film, bro. Like Victor was a straight up tyrant, dude.
He's a consistent asshole throughout.
Yeah, he's a fucking he's a
He
tyrant.
kills his own daughter. I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah, dude, like he fears that much, bro. He fears a blending of the blood and the species, dude. Like that's what he scared. He was scared so much about he killed his own daughter, and that's what Lucian says, man.
It's all about that legacy. All about that legacy.
Yeah. And this is why this to me, and I'm pretty sure to all of us, this was why this film was so captivating. And it goes under the radar, you know, but it has a high cult following. Yeah. But I mean, it came out with a series. It became a series, so obviously people liked it, you know. But yeah, like I said, we'll get back to Daniel, where he's at the point where he's at where you left off, Daniel.
Yeah.
Oh wait, one more thing. Just that smug arrogance when he said silver nitrate. Bet you didn't see that coming.
Right?
That was just
Yeah. He's he's that one guy you just want to fucking smack around.
All right.
Yeah, it's one of those times where I like, if Victor would have just caught Craven, I said, you know what? This is the one time I want Victor just to feed him to fucking William firsthand.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. While this is going on, we have this really awesome, very well choreographed and photographed storming sequence of the Death Dealers raiding the not the vampires, the Lycans,
the Lycan den
entry underground. And yeah, I really want to just really go through the choreography of the gunfights. Yeah, it's very well planned out, I have to say. Oh, that guy's just got my Jimmy Johns.
Hey, I hope you enjoy it, brother.
Hey, John, bro. You should have the invite. If you want to jump on, go ahead. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. After the gunfights, we Selene breaks off from the group just as I think it's Reyes who goes against one of the vampires who has got he's dual wielding whips, and he's showing himself as like this badass multi-skilled character, and Reyes is just like he's
that
got
was a cool moment. Those whips were cool as shit.
Yeah.
Craven's right-hand man, by the way. That's Craven's right hand. That's like Craven's best friend in the movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Yeah, Reyes, at this point, he's gone beast mode, literally and figuratively, and he's like, "Oh, you think you got whips? I ain't fucking around, son." So he's basically backs him into a corner and just basically straight up annihilates him in a cutaway. And that's actually one of the most satisfying cutaways I've ever seen in a horror or action movie, personally. So yeah, the fight is still going on. Selene manages to find Michael, frees him, but then all of a sudden, Craven shows up, shoots Michael, and is like, You dickhead! You fucking moron! Why? Are you sure that he's not meant to be the main villain of this movie?
Mhm.
I mean, seriously, it feels more like that Craven is more of the antagonist than Victor is, honestly.
He's the most hated. Yep.
Yep.
Did you guys ever see Order of the Phoenix from Harry Potter? You remember that Professor Umbridge? That's him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the underworld equivalent of Professor Umbridge.
Yeah.
All right. Now we got Big Bad Wolf. We got the Big Bad Wolf. Here we go, bro. Sorry.
What's up, bro?
Not much. Just got off work and got my Jimmy Johns.
All right.
Nice.
Cool, man.
And it was also the last day of my supervisor because he's going to do better things in the Air Force.
Nice.
Oh, cool, man. Cool. All right, so we got John and no, keep going, Daniel.
Okay. So yeah, Lucian shows up and basically stabs Craven. I think it's through his shin or through his it's through the shin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's through his calf, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, he stabs him through the calf, and Craven is like stumbling off, trying to GTFO, and of course, and this is something that I think shows history repeating itself with Lucian watching Michael and Selene, and it's sort of reminding him and Sonia back before the war started, and this time because he's seeing history repeat itself, he can interject in a way by saving Selene and Michael from what happened to him and Sonia, and he's saying, "Bite him." That's when we hear what
vampire.
Yeah. Then we hear what the doctor said before he was killed: half vampire, half Lycan. So effectively, Selene creates a new species by turning Michael. And of course, Victor shows up. He's not impressed with this at all. No, so he just goes fucking final boss mode on both of them, throws Michael into a puddle. I have to say, the stunt work in that scene where he flips through the wall, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
What makes me mad is just how Reyes just dies by Victor.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, that's the thing. It's. I was pissed off too, man. I mean, we'll go. I'll mention that. That was one thing I did forget about was that Soren fought. He did. The professor did mention it, but we didn't get into it. And I want to get into it real quick. The battle between Soren and Reyes, when Reyes just goes freaking crazy, dude, and he just gets pissed off as he saw Lucian getting shot, and he was mad, dude, and he was just like, I did like the whip, the silver whips. That was pretty cool coming from Soren's character.
I just loved how Reyes was just unfazed. He was just walking through it.
Yeah, and he wipes him out quick, and then Reyes goes after Victor. But I mean, we got to remember, man, Victor was already freaking hundreds of years old when Reyes was barely created in Rise of the Lycans. Reyes was a puppy dog compared to freaking Victor at that time. So,
let's be fair. Awakening and Blood Wars could have badly used Reyes and Lucian still being alive. Like, I think that's the greatest mistake they made was killing off those characters. I mean, obviously, you'd have to find a reason for both to survive, but I think that because they're such important characters to the whole series, like, I just hate the fact that they killed them off.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been killed off. I mean, they would have been great for down the line during the series. Sure, kill them off. I
know that they probably weren't seeing this thing going like the full distance, but yeah, it kind of bummed me out that those characters are gone because they're like two of the best of the entire series.
Right.
Yeah.
And then through them, you get the better point of view of why werewolves are always against vampires. Because it's like Underworld, Rise of the Lycans in the first Underworld film, the werewolves were back to being villains once again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. To me, it's just the first three. It's Rise of the Lycans, Underworld, and Evolution. Evolution, I thought, took it a step further than the first one. To me, it's another great sequel that was a little better than the original. So, and like I said, like we'll get to now. What Daniel was at that point where now we'll all break this down so we can, we can get it out of the way and get our our little
Yeah.
how do you say it, get our own takes on it. The battle when Michael becomes a hybrid.
Yeah, I have to say the stunt work and the effects on the hybrid were phenomenal, I think.
Yeah, and I don't, even though his hair even played into it, it meshed with his style of being a hybrid, and they go to the battle where Victor's struggling like against Michael because Michael's just on another level. But Victor, remember, Michael was just barely born, and Victor's, supposedly the strongest vampire or whatever. So, but Victor does kind of take, the advantage. He takes the advantage, and and Michael still, like I said, Michael he barely became a hybrid. So he's taking it to Victor, but now Victor's just, trying to. He literally doesn't want to not let this thing survive because he knows if Victor had so much trouble with him. Imagine, like, I don't even think Marcus is any stronger in a vampire form, but I'm saying, like, the fight scene was good. Bill Nye, for being that old, was moving pretty damn good, in the battle sequence. And I like how they add the slow motion when Michael is getting shot by the vampires and everything, and he's getting phased, but it's just not, it's just not doing anything, and then. Selene comes and wipes out the other vampires that are there trying to help Victor, and I like that sword though. The sword that Victor brought with him, that was a really cool sword.
Yeah,
and
it also shows the contrast between how he's more of the traditional way of killing, whereas the other vampires, they're more modern with the guns and the grenades and all that. Victor is just like,
go ahead. Go ahead, then.
Yeah, I mean, Victor, he's, as I say, he's more old school. He's more, I think he's more of a more traditional
warrior mentality.
Yeah.
Well, you
he's
can also
very old school.
Well, you can also see that it's working against him. It's because he's not evolving as a person in modern times because he's just not like that. I mean, maybe
he's been underground for a while. So
yeah, I mean, he's been asleep since medieval times after Lucian got him. I mean, when he went to speak to Craven after Selene woke him up, he goes, "Where's Marcus?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, my lord, I'm afraid you've been woken up a century too early." He's like, "What?"
Yeah,
like he's angry, like you just. He's angry like you just woke up you dead at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. But but you guys have a good point. It's just that like Victor struggled a lot with Michael, and Michael's makeup, his image, the practical effects, the wire work, like a lot that they were doing a lot of wire work, or they were beginning to do a lot of wire work. But I like this film because it's fantasy, werewolves, horror, a little bit of sci-fi and action. Kind of like martial arts all in one. So that's another reason why I like the film. And yeah, man, that's just my take. And then here we go, where Selene literally helps Michael and fucking chops Victor's head in half.
Yeah.
So, and that was a great scene, dude. When she just flew, that's why I had to put it in the intro, because when she flew and she just landed like all how do you say it, all super how do you get superhero style?
Yeah.
I was like,
superhero landing. That's gotta be tough on the knees.
And and then went right when she waves the sword across the screen where it's all bloody, and that's where Victor just his head falls apart. I was like, that was great, man. And
that was a satisfying feeling death.
Yeah.
Because Victor had it coming for so many years.
Yeah, and this is where Michael and Selene are looking at each other. They beat the tyrant. The weasel, the little weasel got away. But he gets his in evolution. But
yes,
but
his was the most satisfying death besides Victor's.
And then but like I said, it's I'll just give my last take on it, then I'll pass it to everyone. I did like the dynamic between at the end with Michael and Selene, because Selene looks at him like, holy shit, this is what a hybrid looks like. Holy shit, and That's where they start. Oh, what?
Yeah, you also notice how the other Lycans, they just back away at the sight of this hybrid.
Yeah, he started as a Lycan. So I think he would have, even if everything would have gone as planned, and Lucian would have taken Michael under his wing. Michael would have been straight up at the side of the werewolves. He would have been on the side of the werewolves, and
he had Lucian's blood in him because Lucian's one that bit him, and then now he has the vampire blood, so he is like the top alpha, basically.
And let's not forget, Lucian could have used Michael's blood as a catalyst for Lucian to become a hybrid.
Yeah. I think that was his ultimate plan, but I can't remember.
I think, yeah.
And if he would have done that, imagine if Lucian, well, just like I said before,
I don't know if he could. I think they had to have a Corvinus descendant, so I think Michael was always going to be that. Now that I think about it,
yeah,
it was like Michael was just that descendant because everything is linked to him.
Yeah. Okay, so that's my take. It was a great film, great last action sequence. Film was amazing. I loved it. It's in my top 15. So that's for a reason. It's in my top 15. So now I'll get to Anubis on his take and final thoughts on the film, and then I'll move it to, we'll go down the line.
Yeah, definitely loved it. At the time, I didn't know they were going to make any more beyond it. When they did Evolution, I was excited. I especially love Evolution because it kind of goes back again to Marcus and William, the origin stories. Yep. And then, of course, when Rise came out, that made me really, really happy because it was the pre-story of everything that started with Lucian. Again, we talked about Michael Sheen and his performance. Him and Bill Nye have like really great chemistry as villains against each other. So watching this film, I know that Kate's like your heroine and she's the hot chick and great warrior, but it's so many other pieces of the story are just so great. So that, again, as Walter was talking about, you didn't have to worry about checking boxes or forcing agendas and narratives into it to get people to understand that she is the fucking hero. She is the warrior.
Yeah, it's back then. It's just like one box to tick. It was called fun.
Entertainment. That's all you want. And great story writing. The guys that created this did a wonderful job. They executed it very well. Sequels are always hard to do. As far as like, Awakening and Blood Wars. Like Blood Wars was a little better than Awakening for me, but they don't match to those first three films. The first three, that's why I think that Lucian and Ray's maybe being alive would have helped grow that even stronger, like a bigger universe for Underworld. But it is what it is. But that movie's a classic. I'm really curious, though. Sentry said this would be his top 15 movie. I want to see what the rest of your list looks like.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, trust me, it's top 15, and the rest of my man, I would have to literally go back and be like, okay, what are my, I already know what's my top 15 and everything. It's hard, but like this one is because like when this one came out, I was only 23 and I was out of high school, I was out of college, and I was still having trouble with anger issues and partying and all this stuff. So when I would want to take a break from reality and all that partying, I would go to watch movies. So this movie really helped me, it also branched out into a new style of fantasy. That's what I liked about it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Anubis, don't worry, dude. We're still gonna do Evolution. So we're still gonna do Evolution. But now I'll pass it to Dan Filming, the professor, on what he thought about the film.
Well, I think the film was. I think it's actually a really good. It's a gem of early 2000s horror sci-fi action. It has a good gothic aesthetic, but it's not overdone. It's a nice complement with the opening shot. The architecture is gothic, but it's not overly done. The rest of it is really accomplished through the color grading and the lighting, especially how it contrasts with the character wardrobe and makeup as well. The action, it's brilliantly paced and brilliantly choreographed as well. The storyline, it begins simple, But as you progress throughout the film and you have all these little details that something is amiss, it just builds and builds, and the suspense and the payoff is worth the wait to the final act.
Yeah. Oh wow, man. I mean, it's like I said, the professor, spreading out all that knowledge, man. Even though
Here.
he's young, but he's got that what do you call it? He's got that experience, man. He's got that wisdom already, being so young, man. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, good sir, for your intellect.
I raise this pipe in your honor.
There you go.
I raise my pipe to you, sir. Thank you, gentlemen.
One legend to another.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now that was Daniel. Now Gojira, if I want.
It's just an excellent film. I see this film, this might sound corny, as an ocean, pretty much. It starts off shallow, yeah, but then the more you tread in, it deeper and deeper it gets. And the more the story gets not really complicated, more fascinating as it goes on. You see these, it's just a shoot 'em up story to a very, almost a Shakespearean almost the way how things are going. Like I said before, Florence Nightingale, with the star-crossed lovers, almost to a Romeo and Juliet kind of feeling as well. How Michael and Selene are. The deep betrayal that we have with Craven, against his own people. Victor comparing to his own daughter as well. Yeah, his actual daughter, plus his new surrogate daughter as well. The surrogate daughter that he took himself, that he didn't have the nerve to kill himself. But I'll let you guys talk about that later in the future as well, if you'd like to.
That's a good point, though. Real quick, you mentioned that they interwoven this more complicated and messy story where they could have just been lazy. Said, "Yep, vampires versus Lycans, doesn't matter. It's just a war." But the story itself has a nice little twist, and it unravels as you're watching it.
Yeah.
The story of Victor in the film, it's like I heard saying he didn't want to move on with the times. I don't think he needs to move on with the times. That's how powerful he is. Michael, yes, he's powerful, but we also got to see Victor not only use his brute strength to move against Michael, but also he outfought Michael as well. And at one point, he had him down, and all he had to do was squeeze a little harder. He would have popped his head off as well.
Yeah.
So Victor was actually more of a threat at that point. Now, here's something that we almost would have gotten, and would have been not more interesting, but just as interesting. What if Reyes actually made it back to the clan first, and he actually had Amelia's blood? Would that have changed Michael differently than just a bite from Selene? What if he had elder blood in him? Would he have made him even more powerful?
Yeah.
A werewolf with wings? Question mark.
No, maybe. Who knows?
I don't think she has that. I think that's only Marcus.
I think
Because Marcus and William are the original vampire and Lycan, and I think are original vampire and werewolf. But
no, Victor.
Even though Amelia and Victor are very old, I don't think they quite had Marcus's power. Even though Victor often thought he was stronger than he just had better influence than Marcus did.
Well, Amelia. Well, I think Amelia was Victor's concubine.
Could have been.
I mean, I
probably had 100 of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But she was an elder, and she. I mean, I love. Don't get me wrong. I love Kate Beckinsale. I love Zita Garog. Zita Garog. That's her name of the girl that the actress.
I used to think that was Joanna Pakula initially, but I realized it's not her.
It's Zita Garog, and she's Hungarian, I think. And dude. But I kept telling myself, like, man, give these girls a burger, give them a triple meat burger or a sandwich, or give them some carbs, man. Like, these girls are so. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind skinny girls, but man, put some meat on them.
But Captain America, geez, somebody give that kid a sandwich.
Right.
But was that your take? You can finish the rest of your take, Gojira.
Okay. Crap. Just completely forgot what I was going to say. I agree that Lucian losing him in this film really hurt the franchise is because, in my opinion, the first 3 films are the best. The rest have their place as like popcorn films. I don't really see them higher than just popcorn films. And at that point, they're always trying to reach higher than what the original films did. It was always like they're always trying to raise the stakes, like a new power up for Selene, a new power up for the villains. You know, in one movie, didn't they have like a Lycan? There was like the size of the Incredible Hulk at one point.
Yeah, they had like a behemoth Lycan.
Yeah, it's like they are always trying to outdo the previous film. It's like the first 3 films, the story is what really drove it, and then the action came second.
Excellent point.
Films, it's like the spectacle came first, and then it's like, oh yeah, we have a story somewhere.
They could have kept going with those. They could have kept going with those stories, and I would have been happy as a clam. They didn't have to try, like you said, to outdo the other ones. Just
it's kind of like what's going on the Fast and Furious films now. It's like the first 3 were fantastic, but once the 4th film started, it's like they just went straight downhill to just popcorn films after that.
Yeah.
No, but oh yeah, but go on, go ahead, Roger.
And that also Michael Sheen and
Bill Nye.
Yeah, thank you. Really had a brain fart there. They fantastic actors. Those 2 are awesome. Though what bothers me is that they didn't really have any interactions in this film, but in Rise of the Lycans they had all that, caught up with there. But it makes sense in this film why they didn't. But like at that time, I didn't know they wouldn't have. I would have liked to have seen that, but then we saw the other films. So
that would have been great.
Yeah.
So, but okay, all right, that's that.
No, okay. Now I'll pass it before I pass it to Big Bad Wolf. Even though he got here late, my bad, Big Bad Wolf.
Oh, no worries.
The dynamic between Victor and Lucian, Bill Nye and Michael Sheen, and Rise of the Lycans was for as low as they put that movie, man. That movie, like for a prequel, was just almost just great for the franchise and see, and I see that's probably where they messed up. Like, man, how can we bring back Lucian's character because he was so interesting? Well, let's just do a prequel. So let's just do, but it's one of the prequels that a lot of people think didn't work. I don't care about what other people think. Obviously, I don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks.
Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, finish what you're gonna say. Then I'm gonna say something else right after you're done.
Oh yeah. The Rise of the Lycans to me was it's up there. It's up there, and Underworld. Of course, this one was great, but to me,
well, we already know Rise is my favorite. So.
Oh yeah, Rise is my favorite too.
Yeah, I mean, and it would have to be between.
We can be Lycans.
We can be slaves, or we can be Lycans. So, yeah, but and anybody watching, yes, we already did. Me, Big Bad Wolf, and Anubis already did a Sci-Fi Society podcast. It's in the link, a description below when we did it last year for Rise of the Lycans, and yeah, so now I'll pass it to Big Bad Wolf. Sorry, man. It was another mistake.
No worries, dude. It happens.
Yeah, but just to give us your take on real quick take on the film, man.
I can remember back when I watched it. I mean, first I watched it as like maybe an 8-year-old kid, and so the action scene, the one thing that drew me was the action scene. I always found it to be badass when you see like the werewolves crawling on the walls like xenomorphs. I always found that interesting how they're like running on the walls and to see like they're xenomorphs and they're trying to shoot them down.
I will say the CGI for that did not age well.
Yeah, probably not. And again, like you guys mentioned, the action sequence was pretty great. But I think what blew me away too is like when I watched Rise of the Lycans Underworld now, I'm just like, there was so much potential with where the story could have went if they didn't kill off Lucian and Reyes in the film as they did. Like, if they would have kept them alive, then do the prequel, they'd be like, okay, let's see. They could be like, we could take this who knows where. Because, as you mentioned, Lucian is such an interesting character. And I just liked Reyes because it was like, he did not even have to be a Lycan or a werewolf. He just chose to be one because he saw Lucian save him from the Lycans earlier, and he hated how he was being mistreated by the vampires, even though he's not even a werewolf.
Matt knows his ladies. Matt knows his ladies.
Yep. But yeah, the action sequence was great. The big twist from Craven betraying Lucian, I was so ticked off. I went, no, you gotta be kidding me. He had an inside man with the vampires. He's like, nope, I'm gonna be for myself now. So to see him get what came to him in Evolution, I went, finally, yes. I've been waiting for this. But another twist too, I mean, the biggest surprise that we all had was when we found out that Victor had a daughter, and that's why Kate was alive for as long as she was.
Yeah.
And so to see that twist happen, I liked how Victor was beating the crap out of her, and she's just like, you had a daughter that you killed. And Victor just no remorse. He's like, she broke the covenant. She goes, but you killed your only daughter.
That's one thing that goes back to Century's point about they weren't sure if they were going to do Rise because the actress that plays Sonia in this movie was not the same one. It wasn't Rona. So like they had a whole different actress playing Sonia in the bad vision that Lucian had. So that when they did do Rise, I mean, obviously Rona's a great actress. I love her a lot in a lot of stuff she's in. So she was a great pick. But yeah, you notice that if you watch the flashbacks, it's not the same person.
Yeah. But I would say this, as I mentioned earlier, the most badass scene for me was Ray's against the whip. I mean, every time he was getting whipped, he was just unfazed. He's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm killing you right now.
Yeah.
Like, good chance it was burning and hurting him, but he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to ignore that just so I can rip your face off.
Yeah. No, so, I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. The takes are kind of the same, man. Like for Big Bad Wolf, we talked about all of those scenes, and they're all good, especially the ending. Craven was a guy you love to hate. So, and when he gets his in Evolution, it's everybody in their roles did what they had to do. Even Sophia Miles, man, Erica, she was beautiful, man. Like she's beautiful. Sophia Miles. I mean, I think is she British or is she Australian? I think she's okay. But yeah, they were all great, man. They were all great actors, great producing, story, everything was great, man. Now to leave it to my boy Jedi Granville, last take, man, so we can wrap it up.
Oh, wrap this up like a bow and wrap it up real good. Wrap it up tight. This movie, and I'm pretty sure y'all can. No one mentioned this. Notice that, and when you said it, sci-fi, the leather that Selene, Kate Beckinsale's character wears, you can say this is kind of treading on Matrix territory because they were the ones who kind of came out the box doing this. Mm-hmm. And if you really want to really get even more, semantics, could say take on the Crow, But as I said before, this movie took on a life of its own. Because you could say, as Anubis said, they didn't know they were going to make a sequel. They had no idea. They didn't know they were going to make a movie after movie. They didn't know these things, But that shows how strong the characters, how strong the story was, because it was more simplistic in what it was telling. And as you say, the latter films, and some of y'all are hate me for this, but I actually like Awakenings a little bit more than y'all. And
but damn human.
Yeah, I'm just sorry. I mean, that had to be me. But no, the simple fact is they were trying to up the ante where it should have been more simplicity in telling the story with the latter films. Because, like I say,
didn't they end up killing Speedman's character in that film? I haven't seen it in a long time.
No, they killed him in Blood War. Which is that's bad.
I'm with Goji. It's like, why? Why are you doing this to me? Why do me?
Yeah. But no, the film in general is a classic. It's over 20 years old now, and That's the only reason why some films have staying power, because they might have been low budget, they might have been low key, whatever it means. Kind of like The Thing, kind of like some other films, that came out the box, not running as much, but in time, that justification will come to be. And Underworld is just one of those films because it's before the wokeness, before all that crap we got now, and
Yeah.
they say the practical and digital were mixed well together, and you had a good story. It's just sad that, unfortunately, Hollywood is bullshit what they do now.
It's more ideological than creative.
Yeah, and it's definitely a unique film. It's definitely unique, and it was the first of its kind. Aside from, like, we go back to the beginning, which was the Universal monsters, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and so. But it was definitely the first of its kind in the early 2000s, 2003. It made a big impact. Nobody thought, like we all said, nobody thought they were gonna go do a series of sequels about it or a trilogy about it. And look what happened. It made a lot of people. I bet you even Len Wiseman and everybody who was on this project probably thought that this wasn't gonna go anywhere. So that's why they killed off Lucian and Reyes, because it's gonna be a one shot, man. We're probably not gonna do it. And then what happens? Oh, we want a sequel. And this on Rotten Tomatoes. This is why, to me, Rotten Tomatoes is no longer accurate. Is that it has a 31% on Rotten Tomatoes, yet it's still got 2 sequels and a prequel.
Yeah.
So you can tell that.
Is that critics or audience?
I think that's critic. That's critic.
I said, man, if it's like that with the audience, I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
You know what we say to critics? Fuck you.
Yeah, and I mean, trust me, bro. If it was critics, bro, they wouldn't have made all these series. So.
I mean, look at how bad the critics bombed The Last Voice with Demeter, which, by the way, fantastic film.
Okay, at least the audience kind of got it. At least they're at 80%. I can handle that.
One thing I like to add on before we wrap this up, I like the approach they took to Lucian's character. When they introduce him as like he's the big bad, he's the leader of the Lycans, he's going to be the final boss. Then they add in these moments where he's talking to Michael about how he served the vampires, how he was ultimately betrayed because he fell in love with Victor's daughter. It then takes away the whole villainous aspect of it and takes us as more of a sympathetic, more of a tragic. I wouldn't say. I mean, would you say anti-hero?
You could say anti-hero. You could also say, in a way, tragic villain, since the movie did portray him as a villain at first. He kind of more.
I'm sure anyone who ever saw Rise agrees with me. His performance in that when Sonia's dying is like, just it moves me every single time. Every time.
It's and not only that, man. Like he was a revolutionary and he was a rebel. So and he, like I said, he was the first of his kind, and he overpowered Victor before we wrap it up, he overpowered Victor in Rise of the Lycans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that shows you how strong Lucian was. So to see him just get killed by Craven the way he did, it's like, why?
Well, remember, he didn't. I mean, I don't think Lucian would have died from that one shot. He would have taken time, but he would have recovered to get it all of his system. But at that point, he didn't expect that, and that was a bitch move. Shane Broly, fucking Craven, that was a bitch move. But
I wonder if that actor goes through life and people just all like, "You're an asshole."
You're a bitch.
You killed Lucian.
Just a side note, the guy who played William Peck in Ghostbusters, he always gets called a dick, So.
You are the lowest form of scum on earth.
Well, there's people apparently that the guy that plays Homelander and the boys.
Oh yes,
they give him a lot of shit because he plays a character. I'm like, that's unfair. But for this guy that played Craven, I'm like, no, you deserve it.
Oh yeah, but
we just make fun of the guy. It's like, what do you do? It's like, you kill Lucian, you bitch.
Yeah. But okay, to wrap it all up, guys, it was a great film. Thank you for coming on the 20th live stream for the Sci-Fi Society, and it's been a long time, man. Like me, Walter, and Gojira started this going on 4 years ago, and you know when you go back to that point, man, when that point in time when we started it, we didn't think we were gonna do it. So, it's just a little thing we're gonna do here and there, and I didn't think the Sci-Fi Society would grow the way it did. You know, we're slowly we're slowly getting there, but I kind of like the fact that we're underground. Like we're still underground. You know what I mean? And I like that. I'm not one for I want to be no. I mean I enjoy the times we have, the conversations, the interactions, the agree to disagree on all the films, man. I can't believe 20 already. This is volume 20, man, and I can't believe it's already been going on 4 years. But it's crazy that we finished the 20th live stream with Underworld, one of my favorite, top 15 films. And again, guys, I can't thank you enough for being a part of the Sci-Fi Society, a part of my life, a part of the genres we love: science fiction, fantasy, horror, sci-fi horror, drama, martial arts. Like everything we do it, man. We do it because we love these films, and it's therapeutic when we do these streams. So everybody who was watching, Kevin, I know you were watching earlier, Jake Hall, Sam Torres, thank you guys for being on here. Everyone who did watch, thank you for the 8 likes, man. I really appreciate it. I'm a small channel, man, but us as the Sci-Fi Society, we all represent being real, our family, the Metal Tavern, DJ Anubis, the upcoming YouTuber, and filming, aka the Professor. We got Gojira 851, figure, reviewer extraordinaire. We got Big Bat Wolf, video gamer, freaking also a youngin but loves all kinds of genres. And we have, of course, the mayor of G-Fest. We got Walter Lavelle Ross, the, how do you say it, the big daddy, the sexual chocolate of the group, man. So everybody who is watching,
OG Mark Henry.
and everybody who's watching, man,
Subscribe to the sensei. Subscribe to the sensei.
Oh man, but thank you all my brothers, my fam, man. Thank you again, guys. I'm gonna finish it off with the intro for the stream, for the stream, and then don't go anywhere, guys, and we'll hang out for a little bit more after this. But everyone who was watching on YouTube and the Sci-Fi Society as a whole, thank you very much. We are the Sci-Fi Society. We always keep it raw. We always keep it real.
We keep it tight.
And we are out. Don't go anywhere, guys.
Yeah, Anubis.
And the questions pour out. Did not understand. Did not understand. Did not understand.
Ooh, the Sci-Fi Society clone.
We are the Sci-Fi Society.
DJ Anubis. Here with the Meltdown Radio podcast with my special guest, Sci-Fi Century, our fearless leader and founder of the Sci-Fi Society.
That whole story, like, that's pay-per-view, guys. Like, you don't get a lot of that stuff.
All right, good one, Jay.